Hi, my name's Kevin Rohn, but my fellow hikers know me by my trail name, Stretch. On November 10th, 2022, I finished hiking all 2,194.3 miles of the Appalachian Trail. For almost 5 months, I lived outside and overcame numerous physical, emotional, and mental obstacles. But my story begins before mile 0, before I stepped foot on the AT, before I saw the first white blaze marking the path that would change how I view myself and my relationship with the world. Let me take a step back. Have you ever felt stuck? Like things are going fine by all measures, yet nothing seems to matter much to you. You wake up and it's just another day to get through. Nothing exciting, nothing that makes you feel alive, just the humdrum routine. Rinse and repeat again and again, day after day. You could describe it as listlessness, languishing, perhaps even depression. Before hiking the trail, in the midst of a pandemic and my own declining mental health, I was going through the motions of daily life and becoming increasingly perturbed by obstacles in my way. In response, I tried to force things, to craft the perfect experience in an attempt to maintain a sense of control. And of course, I would feel disappointed when things didn't meet my impossible expectations. This often led to frustration, anger, and impatience. I wished that the obstacles in life weren't there, that they could be removed, because if they were gone, wouldn't things be easier? I needed a reset, a big adventure to wake me up to life again. I needed more than a weekend or a vacation away. I needed a fully immersive life experience to rejuvenate and reinvigorate my spirit, my internal drive. So I asked myself, when was the last time I felt truly alive? And I realized it was in moments where I felt awe, a feeling of reverential respect mixed with fear and wonder. And where I feel awe most is when I'm outdoors in wild spaces like these. When I feel small in the scheme of the natural world. When I'm wowed by the majesty and the unknown of the universe. It makes me feel part of the beautiful rhythm of life and the interconnectedness of all beings. For me, the Appalachian Trail was an ideal fit. With its immense physical demands and abundance of natural splendor, just the idea of hiking the AT felt awe-inspiring. And so I decided to start from scratch, to attempt something new that I wasn't sure I could successfully complete, that maybe I couldn't complete because the odds were against me. In fact, only 25% of attempting AT thru-hikers succeed. Although that stat felt like quite an obstacle, something still drew me to the challenge. So what exactly is the Appalachian Trail? Let's take a quick look. The AT is a footpath that spans from Maine to Georgia over almost 2,200 miles across 14 states. My wife and I hiked the trail together, and it took us a total of 146 days, or about 4 months and 3 weeks. We averaged about 16.7 miles of hiking per hiking day. The vast majority of AT thru-hikers go NOBO, or northbound. They start in Georgia and hike north to Maine. Most others go SOBO, or southbound. They start in Maine and hike south to Georgia. Very few start in the middle, like we did, and hike what's called a flip-flop. We started in New York and first hiked northbound to Maine, then flipped back to New York and hiked southbound to finish in Georgia. To survive, succeed, stay safe, and be relatively comfortable in the wilderness on this journey, I needed to carry quite a few things. Physically, I carried about 15 pounds of gear, including things like a pack, tent, sleeping bag, extra clothes, stove, etc. Pictured here are all the physical things my wife and I carried with us on the trail. Metaphorically, though, I carried much, much more, and I was not as prepared for that. I may have started from scratch in terms of miles hiked, but it's impossible to start from scratch mentally and emotionally. We all bring our past and our unique identities with us wherever we go. I brought my own baggage, my complicated human relationships, my varied mindsets and patterns of thought with me on trail, yet a few more obstacles to contend with. I also carried my sense of adventure, self-confidence from prior outdoor experiences, and an undeniable stubbornness to finish what I set out to do. I share all this because thru-hiking the AT was not an escape from my life. I may have ventured into new physical space, but I brought myself and all of my personal attributes, positive and negative, into my experience. Perhaps surprisingly, learning about myself along this journey would be my greatest achievement of all. With all this in mind, what would you carry with you, either physical or metaphorical? Take just a moment and consider for yourself. All right, that brings me to mile 0, actually beginning the trail. All the emotions poured out of me on the way to trail. As I sat on the Metro North train from New York City, I cried. Tears of relief, joy, anticipation, and fear. I had planned, prepared, and trained for over a year to be ready. I had put my regular life on hold, taken a leave of absence from work, gotten rid of my home, and put all my belongings into storage. I had fully committed myself to this endeavor. Putting so much into it before the actual start and taking on something so monumental that I didn't know I could succeed was really scary. But when I reached the trail and saw the first white blaze marking the path of the AT, pure excitement washed over me. Just look at my face in that photo. I started to wake up. I knew that hiking the AT was exactly what I needed. That first day is a great example of every day on the AT. Simply riding the roller coaster of intense emotions, feelings that oscillated rapidly throughout each day. That helped me learn to let go a little bit, to stop grasping for that perfect experience and let the universe unfold as it will. That would move me out of my stuck state. Once on trail, I started hiking north, headed for Maine. Right away, I found that trail life was life beautifully simplified. Each morning, you wake up, pack up camp, and start walking. You eat when you're hungry, you drink when you're thirsty, and you rest when you're tired. You listen and respond to your body. That's about it, day after day. Rejuvenating simplicity in a complicated world. Every few days, you get into a town and resupply on food, and maybe shower. While beautifully simple, each day was also punctuated with obstacles. External obstacles like boulders, steep climbs, rain and wind, or hot, humid conditions. I really can't tell you how hard it is to hike all day in the rain, cold and soaked to the bone. No rain jacket protects from 8 hours of intense precipitation. And then have to put on your wet socks, shoes, and clothes again the next morning and slog through mud puddles on the trail. There are also physical obstacles like fatigue, injury, and sickness. Just a quick warning, the next slide features some gross images from poison ivy and bee stings, so avert your eyes if you choose. I was repeatedly stung by bees, and their venom made my skin swell and blister. Then I got the worst case of poison ivy in my entire life, itchy beyond belief. I had nagging Achilles heel pain and sore knees pretty much the whole time. Just so much discomfort. Okay, squeamish folks, you can look back now. There were also mental and emotional obstacles I faced, like self-doubt, worry, and anxiety. Figuring out how to handle difficult family situations while I was on trail and trying to simultaneously take care of my own mental health was a near impossible task. As I said earlier, the trail was not an escape. I didn't actually leave anything behind. That's not possible. I brought myself with me, and through every obstacle, I wanted to examine that self and cultivate the skills to be the best version of who I am and who I could become. To accomplish this, I employed mindfulness and meditation practices and sought the support of my community. Each day, I practiced seated meditation and walking meditation, hours and hours of that every day, dwelling in the present moment and letting insights come naturally. I also listened to books and podcasts from some of my favorite meditation teachers, Tara Brach and Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. Just as in life, I did not have to walk this path alone. I hiked every step of my entire journey with my wife, my true partner in life. And we met so many other amazing hikers along the way, forming deep bonds with wonderful folks. The support of the trail community really cannot be understated. Fellow hikers share stories and commiserate with each other when the obstacles build up. You're all in it together, and there's a powerful supportive community vibe on trail. With this gift of time, space, natural beauty, awe, and community, even though the trail and all of its obstacles were difficult, I felt something begin to change in me. At mile 742, I reached the northern terminus of the Appalachian Trail, which was a remarkable accomplishment. This was the ending point for most AT thru-hikers, including all the new friends I had made. They were finished, and I still had over 1,400 miles to go. Instead of being daunted, though, I felt energized. I knew I was just scratching the surface of my growth, and I was still fully immersed in the experience. No part of me wanted to stop. Then at mile 743, I returned to New York, where I had started 2 months earlier, and it was downright jarring. Going from the true wilderness of Maine to the densely populated mid-Atlantic squashed some of that awe that nature brings to me. New obstacles emerged: drought, thirst, and busy, crowded trails. But I started transforming my mentality toward those ever-present obstacles, whatever form they took. After 1,000+ miles of hiking, I reflected, I can do difficult things, on and off the trail. I know that I have all the faculties to overcome and succeed, no matter what's thrown my way. At mile 1,185, I entered Virginia and the walk through the South to Georgia, the end of the trail. I met southbound hikers and developed a new community. The trail returned to more wild spaces, and I realized once again why I'm so drawn to natural, awe-inspiring places. Such spaces inherently bring me into the present moment, an absolute requirement for me to live fully and deeply. Feeling awe and practicing mindfulness enabled me to be more present, reflect on myself, and make my most profound discovery of the entire journey. So mile 1,600 or so, my aha moment. This is what I was looking for before I started the AT, and I didn't even know it. A critical inflection point that gave me a grounding to return to and reflect on myself. And it didn't come right away. It was actually about 3 months into the journey. On a day like any other, I was walking on the trail in Virginia, listening to a podcast episode by Tara Brach about cultivating one's deepest intention. She explained that being conscious of our deepest intention enables us, quote, to really align our life with our heart. So I learned that it's what's most important to us, our true north. Not an external, ego-driven kind of important, but an internal longing that always was and always will be. It carries us home when we're lost. What resonated most with me was when she said, your deepest intention always has to do with manifesting your innate potential. The flower seeks to blossom, the acorn seeks to become an oak. What we long for is an expression of who we are. This made me want to search within myself and listen to my heart. What is my deepest intention? How can I manifest my innate potential? It was obvious to me. This is how I could become the best version of myself. When I heard all these words, I realized that hiking the AT was never actually about finishing the trail. It was about finding a way to be more present, discover my deepest intention, and learn how to move from that intention in all areas of my life. Tara Brach's guidance put all that I was searching for and feeling before the trail into perspective. For the next few days, I walked and listened to my heart, seeking my deepest intention. I pondered practical examples. A sunflower seed cannot grow into an oak tree. That's not its potential. But it can be the most beautiful sunflower possible. So what's my innate potential? What's the most beautiful manifestation of me? But realizing your deepest intention is not a thinking exercise. It's a feeling one. Eventually, without forcing anything, letting the universe flow, I felt it. Once I did, my deepest intention was undeniable. To embody a presence of peace, ease, and calm in order to deeply experience each and every moment of my life. When I'm impatient, frustrated, or defensive, I don't touch the present moment as I wish to. I'm too caught up in those afflictive emotions. Cultivating a presence of peace brings me back to myself and the fully actualized human that I am when I'm at my best. Being at ease is a foundation for my well-being. It brings me back home, just as Tara promised. For the entire trail, I had focused so much on the obstacles, feeling as though They were in the way of my journey. But now, with ease in my heart, I realize that obstacles are not in the way, they are the way. Rather than being an impediment to avoid, each obstacle became an opportunity for growth, an integral part of the journey, part of the path I chose to follow. Approaching obstacles with peaceful ease and a calm acceptance of the challenges they pose changed and continues to change my life. For the last 600 miles of hiking, my wife and I began and ended our days by sharing reflections, without judgment, of how we did or did not move from our deepest intentions that day. This was both eye-opening and really difficult. But during this section of my journey, faced with the same familiar life challenges and the continued rigors of the trail, now with the additional obstacles of freezing temperatures and some snow as the year got later, I had plenty of opportunities to practice. I reminded myself daily to plant seeds for the life that most expresses the depths of who we are, the seeds that bring life and wisdom, joy and wonder. I planted those seeds in myself, or really discovered that they had always been there, waiting for fertile ground. Now, I must continually cultivate them so they can grow and fully manifest themselves in me, blossoming into my innate potential as a human being. So mile 2,194.3, finishing the Appalachian Trail. As soon as I reached the southern terminus in Georgia, I felt accomplishment, joy, and elation, immediately followed by a profound sense of loss. I had successfully thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail, and just like that, it was over. Trail life suddenly ended. Now I needed to apply lessons learned and live by my deepest intention. Well, I didn't actually start from scratch at mile 0, and I'm not finished with the trail and its lessons at mile 2,194.3. Now the real work begins. So mile 2,194.3 plus, the journey continues as I try to live by my deepest intention. It'll be a lifelong endeavor with no end, no destination, no making it. This will never be easy, but it will always be worth it. Thru-hiking the AT was my journey, but it doesn't have to be yours. I encourage each and every individual here to find your Appalachian Trail. Find what challenges you, fills you up, and fosters your personal growth. Search within yourself and uncover your heart's deepest intention. Your innate potential is waiting for you. With that in mind, I'll leave you with a few lines from a beloved Mary Oliver poem, The Summer Day, that strikes a chord within me every time I hear it. Doesn't everything die at last, and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I'll read that last line one more time. What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? If you want to see more of our journey, my wife and I keep a blog of our outdoor adventures at trekkingsketches.com. Scan the QR code or find us on the web, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you so much, and be well.